Good morning and welcome to AM Today. It's a lovely Monday morning, the 10th of the month of March, year 2025. It's a lovely one. I say welcome to AM Today once again. Yes, over the weekend was an interesting one. The women, we painted the cities. We painted it with like a pink now, yes, for women. Yes, the March 8th was International Women's Day, and women left no stone unturned, in celebrating themselves. In most churches yesterday still went ahead, to extol women virtues, their roles in society, the achievements they've been able to make, their resilience, and their roles as a formidable foundation on which the family is built. And in fact, being that as it may, it means that if women perform their roles very well and functionally too, the society will be a better one for it. So I know that much of this was to see in the newspapers headlines for this morning. My name is Folashade Ogido. Say, welcoming you to AM Today. As you know how we do it on the show, we take you through the newspapers headlines, and we take a short break. We'll return from the break. We have a discussion for the day, so you don't want to miss any part of it. Stick around with me this morning, because it's just going to be me taking you through the journey ride on AM Today. Alright, beginning the newspapers headlines this morning, I'll start with the Daily Trust. On the Daily Trust this morning, we have these headlines: 2027, Tinubu's re-election campaign kicks off enough. And right to the story, El-Rufai meets Aregbesola Bakare in Lagos, and Atiku in Abuja. President's son intensifies Ramadan visits. This you find on the front page of the Daily Trust this morning. Then to pages 4, 12, and 13. It's a long read. If you're interested, check those pages of the Daily Trust. Still on the Daily Trust, community leaders, bandits work out peace deal in Katsina local government areas. What could this peace deal be? What's the negotiation? You're interested? Please check page 3 of Daily Trust this morning for details of that story. General Sega's abduction, a reminder of alarming insecurity in North, says the ACF. Find details of that on page 5 of the Daily Trust this morning. Rivers lawmaker dismisses Fubara's invitation. Find details of that on page 13 of the Daily Trust this morning. I think Mr. Fubara is trying to find a meeting point between himself and the lawmakers in Rivers State. Alright, away from that, stop tarnishing Abacha's image over June 12th. Family tells IBB. Since the last has not been heard of the IBB memo, as reactions they keep pouring in. And this time, reacting is the Abacha's family saying, stop tarnishing their patriarch's image over the June 12th annulment. Alright, check page 12 of the Daily Trust for the Abacha's angle to the story. How Kwara Meeti Allah leader was killed. There's a sad one there. But details of that is on page 33 of the Daily Trust. And we also have this story on the Daily Trust. Says kidnappers fed us with Gary. Say, you find story, the details of this story you find on page 3 of the Daily Trust this morning. And of course, a picture from the 2025 International Women's Day. You find women there saying, yes, we can. And there, okay, you have some notable women in Nigeria there displaying the woman's strength. All right, let's move from the Daily Trust. Nigerian Tribune is our next. On the Nigerian Tribune, Natacha Saraki cautions Akpabio, advises him not to politicize, trivialize, call for due process in Senate. Receipt, suspension of Kogi lawmaker, or face action, Sarah tells Akpabio. In 15 years, all lawmakers suspended by National Assembly or State Assembly reinstated by courts. This Falan. Alright, check details of that on page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. And we also have this was importers to pay more as shipping companies increase charges. The details of that is on page 6 of Nigerian Tribune. Monetary recoveries funding Nigeria's education loan, says EFCC. Find details of this also on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. And on page 16 is a story, PDP to hold South-South, Southwest, North Central Zonal Congresses, April 12. Right, that's from the political arena. There you also have this. Catholic bishops decry worsening security, economic hardship. Find details of that on page 27 of the Nigerian Tribune. Abacha's family rejects Babangida's claim on June annulment. You find details of these on page. You find it on page 23 of the Nigerian Tribune as well. Fubara invites Mauli's 26 other lawmakers for meeting over Supreme Court judgment. We find details of that on page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune. Still on the Nigerian Tribune, our foundation within Al-Qaeda is Africa experiencing complex, evolving challenges and must take destiny in its own hands. That's what the speakers from that webinar, came up with. That was their resolution at our foundation webinar. That Africa is experiencing complex, evolving challenges and must take destiny in own hands. Like enough of looking elsewhere for solution. All right, you find details of that on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. And over from Nigerian Tribune, the Daily Times will be our guide now. On the Daily Times this morning are the stories. We have these opposition politicians scheming to remove me, Akpabio says. Or maybe I should just give you a part of the story. Here says Senate President Godswill Akpabio has it says politicians are fueling the crisis. Where do you find the details there? You find on the front page of you find it on the front page of the Daily Times this morning. And still on the Daily Times, I think we should move. Yes, reverse crisis. Fubara invites Mauli-led lawmakers to meeting today. Will they be attending the meeting? Well, check page 6 of the Daily Times this morning. From the Daily Times, let's check the Guardian. On the Guardian, the stories worries as EFCC recovers 1 trillion naira stolen cash, assets from politicians and others. Well, we say it's a good one because, all right, it depends on what happens to the recovery afterwards. You find details of this on page 6 of the Guardian. And there on the Guardian, we also have this analysis of the recovery, also financial stuff there. You take a copy of the Guardian this morning for details of this story. And still on Guardian on page 12, on page 2, To be precise, manufacturers raise alarm over fresh hike in FRCN dues, real sector collapse. You find details of that on page 2 of the Guardian. And stop establishing new universities without funding plan. Don tells federal government. This detail you find on page 7 of the Guardian this morning. Fubara to meet with pro-Wike lawmakers amid political uncertainties in Rivers. The details of that is on page 6 of the Guardian this morning. And so on the Guardian, Catholic bishops decry worsening economic insecurity and correctional centers. You find details of that on page 9 of the Guardian this morning. And that will be from the Guardian. The next one, check the Vanguard. On the Vanguard this morning are the stories: Paradise Lost, how Unity Schools crashed from glory to dishonor. Which of the Unity Schools? About the federal or the state ministry schools? Okay, you find details of this before let's check writers to the story. It's going to help have further grasp. Schools lack basic facilities, classrooms, hostels overcrowded, outbreak of diphtheria hits kids college, and PTA teachers earn 40,000 monthly. Principal parents fight over PTA levy. We defecate in the bush. Students say. Parents, old students lament wrath. Then will restore their lost glory. Minister says, well, I think that is the beacon of hope there. The minister has promised the restoration of the lost glories of the Unity schools. All right, details of this you'll find on page 14 of Vanguard this morning. And still on the Vanguard this morning. On the Vanguard this morning, we have the stories as well. Still on the Vanguard, the stories. Okay, the story also from the Vanguard. Saraki says Sarah disagree with Akpabio. Yes, Akpoti Udala suspension. Sarah disagree with Akpabio. And the story is on page 5 of the Vanguard this morning. Security worsening in Nigeria, Catholic bishops say. And this one, EFCC secures 4,111 convictions, biggest asset recovery in 2024. Very interested? We check page 35 of the Vanguard this morning for details of our story. Rivers suspects as Ubara summons pro-Wike lawmakers for peace talks. Right, details of that you find on page 12 of the Vanguard this morning. And still from the Vanguard, let's move on from the Vanguard. Let's check all the newspapers headlines from the Vanguard. Let's check the Hope. Yes, on the Hope this morning. On those civil service embraces artificial intelligence. 1,000 public workers so far trained on AI applications. State-owned training institutes allays fear of job loss. You find details of this on page 3 of the Hope newspaper this morning. Falai sues, Falano, beg your pardon, Falano sues Ogumada 200 million naira over viral assault video. You find details of that on page 3 of the Hope this morning. Ayedatiwa, keeping critical sectors running, deserves praises. Says who? Says Adebayomi, a Lagos lawyer, says. You find details of this on page 11 of the Hope this morning. And still on the Hope, we have the story, Desperate Community ready for Ondo Smart City project. That story you find on page 9 of the Hope for this morning. And Fubara to meet pro-wiki lawmakers today. Okay, on the Hope, that particular story is on page 10 of the Hope. And this other story here, yes, in front you find the picture of the Shimowe of Ondo. In the picture, find Professor Fatisi and his wife, and the former governor of Ondo State, Dr. Olusegun Mimiko, at a ceremony there. And okay, let me give to you what it was about. Those people, okay, University Professor Adeshegun Fatisi, his wife, Remy, and former governor of Ondo State, Dr. Olusegun Mimiko, during the send-off ceremony for Professor Fatisi held in Ondo City. That should be on Sunday, yesterday. Okay, we also want to wish Professor Fatisi well. So he's been our guest a couple of times on the show. Alright, so on the Hope, we have this one. We have flushed criminals out of Ondo. Wow, says the Commissioner of Police. So Ondo is a safer place to be. You find details of this on page 3 of the Hope newspaper this morning. Sarah demands Natasha's restatement, threatens legal action. You find this on page 10 of the Hope newspaper this morning as well. And from the Hope newspaper, okay, let's check what's on the Nation. On the Nation newspaper this morning, persists between Fubara and lawmakers for certainty over today's executive legislature rally. Right, details is on the front page of the Nation there. $20 million grant, Oyetola followed due process, says APC. You find details of this on find the detail. That's on page 7 of the Nation this morning. Ayong counters Ude Okoye's memo on PDP neck meeting. The details of that is on page 5 of the Nation this morning as well. And from the Nation as well, we have this one, says CBN to contain Naira volatility with forex inflows, Fred hardship, deepening insecurity. The story is also here on Daily Independent, as you have it on some other dailies too. But for the Daily Independent, you find that story on page 9. And taxes have rendered 70,000 Naira minimum wage useless, says Sanu there. You find details of this on page 9 of the Daily Independent for this morning. And on the Daily Independent, so we have the story of Fubara advised pro-wiki lawmakers for meeting, and details is on page 6 of the Daily Independent this morning. Saraki to Akpabio, don't politicize, trivialize, call for due process in Senate. You find details of that on page 7 of the Daily Independent. And let's check the Punch. On the Punch, budget ultimatum. Pro-wiki lawmakers give condition to meet Fubara. Details of this says lawmakers allege improper letter service, hosted local government chairman, mock governor. Alright, you find details of this on page 2 of the Punch this morning. I think majorly the meeting's going to be about the budget, 15 trillion naira. That according to National Bureau of Statistics report. You find details of this on page 29 of the Punch newspaper this morning. System glitch. U.S. Embassy to reschedule visa interviews. You You find details of that on page 16 of the Punch this morning. And also on the Punch this morning, precisely on page 44, you also have the story of Saraki Serap tackling Padu over Natasha's suspension. And there you find the details of that story. And from there, South Congress DPs PDP crisis as National Working Committee Wiki camp clash. Details of the clash defined on page 2 of the Punch this morning. Federal government on the fire over plans to import Euro waste. Waste for what? Okay, I know maybe you started like I am about why the federal government would want to import Euro waste. Why? Why that? Because even the waste in Nigeria, we must be thinking of what to do with them. But don't be in a haste. Get the Punch newspaper this morning and check page 16 of the kind of waste and what the usefulness could be. Alright, away from that, man, please find details of pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. It's still on the Punch. El-Rufai meets Aregbesola Bakari as ex-governor deepens consultation. Sports Extra this morning. Let's see the sporting stories there. Victor Osimhen powers Galatasaray title charge with 17th league goal. Alright, you find details of that on page 6 of the Punch Sports Extra this morning. Atubolu snubs Nigeria, highs Germany column. Okay, the details of that you find on page 7 of the Punch Sports Extra. Rice rescues Gunners in Devil's Draw. Find details of that too on the Punch Sports Extra this morning. Chelsea line up £50 million for Gavi. You find details of that on page 4 of the Punch Sports Extra as well. Deco rules out Neymar's Barca return. You find details of that on page 8 of the Punch Sports Extra. And this one, LeBron injured in Lakers loss. You find details of that on page 2 of Punch Sports Extra. Alright, these are more you find on the newspaper's headlines this morning, from the Punch to the Daily Independent, the Nation, the Hope, the Vanguard, Guardian, the Daily Times, Tribune, Daily Trust. You find the newspaper's headlines there this morning. Alright, with that, we'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll be back with our guest for our discussion of the day. I will be back with my guest. Don't go away.
Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is. I give you the package. Leadership, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. Nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it.
Good afternoon, you're still with us on AN today. As I promised that when we return from that break, we will be having our discussion for the day. And of course, our discussion for the day, the International Women's Day held on the 8th of March, which was on Saturday. So today, on AM today, we must recognize that that day and speak to this day. Of course, the theme for this year's International Women's Day is talking about gender equality. Accelerate action, yes, accelerate action, make it fast, and all of that. All right, today to discuss this with us this morning, I've got in the house engineer Debimpe Anibu in the house. She's the former chairman of Akwen on the state chapter. It's nice to have you in the house, man.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, talking about the International Women's Day, it has been a long way coming because it's an event that has started since 1909 to be precise, and for women celebrating themselves, the little milestones, the makers for changes that needs to be made for the women folk. And now, since all this law week, I believe that students have had some changes, some triumphs, some of those challenges that seemed insurmountable, in those years. We had some of our grannies says, I would have been educated, but, we weren't allowed at that point. But now, the stories are different. We have more and more people sending their children to school, and many other wins I believe they have made. Can you tell us from your perspective?
Thank you, my moderator. It's good to be here, and I have this passion whenever I'm invited to speak about a question. Remember that even in Africa, in Nigeria, because I remember my class that this woman is very intelligent, what happened said, during their own time, they prefer men. They say it's a boy child, it's going to be what Yoruba call the Daudu. It's going to carry their name, it's going to do everything. So instead of educating women, they prefer the men to go. And even if you are the first child, you are a female child, they will ask you to go and be learning how to trade and to take care of home. Then they will send the men. Even go to, there are some things, some professions that they will now be saying, no, women. But we are making waves and we are doing it very well. Look at our Vice Chancellor at Federal University of Akure, the first female Vice Chancellor, Professor Adini Kyoladiji.
And that's in Futa anyway.
In Futa. So you see, and we've never had it so good. She's the substantive advisor, not acting. And the way she's making with what she's even pulling to footer. So that's it that we've been missing it in Africa and Nigeria by pushing women to the back.
All right, so quite a lot has been achieved by women, especially in the education front, I can tell, because that was to a girl child to think, can I do it? Because I guess she must have somebody, that has told the path as a woman. Now let's bring it to mentorship. So now in the education sector, we can name names. How much are these women doing, to help the younger ones to grow? They say women are supporting women in this regard. How much? For instance, your association, where you were at the Ends of Affairs chairman, how much of motivation do you give to the girl child to aspire to be engineers like yourself?
Thank you. One thing that I just want you to know is that we are not doing enough. Female lawyers, let us come together and reach a point that we will go out of our comfort zone to bring these girls and to mentor them. Even when we have children at home, if I'm doing anything and I have a chat or a call from my children, I will leave everything and attend to that. So let us be passionate, let us be intentional as to do that for girls around us. Because there are some things that we should live and be a role model to them. You cannot be trying to bring somebody that you want I want to mentor you, but your own character, your own behavior, and the way you relate with people around you in your place of work, where you are living, even in your place of worship, the person will look at you that look at this woman. I can never be like her. It's like you are trying to bring somebody. But men, I think they were paying 80,000 then. When she came back, she just called me and said, okay, I'll take it up. I don't have an NGO and I don't have any, but it's not that I'm rich, I'm a civil servant. Why they now increase it to 2 digits, 3 digits, 4-pointer? And she was determined. I said, no, even if it's trying to, and today the girl graduated with a 2-1, strong 2-1. When she even called me that I should go, I said, no, the mother or the caretaker said I should go. So, and people like that. And if you are not even in an academic environment, in your place of worship, be it mosque or church, you see all those guests, make yourself available. Be humble. Let them have access to you. So that at least you can mentor them. You have experience more than them. So mentor them, let them know that it's okay, it's normal.
So where did we miss it and how, where did we start correcting it? Because looking at the society, you mentioned briefly your reaction of girls turning out, in waywardness and all of that. And in the campus environment, definitely your eyes must have seen a lot. A lot. So where did we miss it? Is it because we are now gunning for leadership position in our places of work, in all that spheres, that we are neglecting our leadership at home?
Thank you. I just want us to go back to the roots. If we are not competing with anybody, if you want to, and marriage, not everybody, I just realize that not everybody is just created to be married.
Yes.
Because there are some people that when you see them and you know that they are mothers, you know it well. Respecting in and outside. Even if you know his pin code is in your outside, within his family, there's this ego that we are celebrating International Women's Day. We have a lot of single mothers out there. It will not be so. So far, what I would not support is if your husband is violent, please leave. But if your husband is not violent, you are collecting money. Your salary is more, it's like times 5 of yours over is getting. You are bringing him to the same purse. You are in the same house. Just let him know. But because I don't know, they said, I don't know how some men behave these days, because most of them will not marry the person they love, but they will marry the person that will be able, that will serve them or will be valuable to them, will help them train their children. But once you enter it, my sister, you are in it. But if it's not doing anything that will make you to die early, that will give you high blood pressure, when you love yourself first, you love your children. But when you're having issues,
marriage and what have you, talking about the numbers of things, because now you have more women at lot and more men thinking they are just to be saved. Isn't it what is happening? So how do we learn to balance it, between the training? Because I think it falls, yes, in our training for the children.
One thing I would like us to know is that when you are training a girl child, please don't neglect the boy child. Because at times we are the one having issues. I told you something that your wife support what they said thou do. Which one is thou do? If you are a girl child, you have a boy child, train them well. Like I used to tell my boys, if the girl is not at home, they know how to cook, they know how to take care of you. And then I would say, please, I don't want your wife, your future wife, to abuse me later in life that your mother did not train you well. That please, I want to train you so that if she's climbing up in her career, you two are climbing up, nothing will be lacking in the home. You have your children, that is the problem we're having. You are thinking of driving a car. You are thinking of having a wig here that you know that even your salary will not be able to afford it. You want to stay in a house that your salary will not even be able to pay for in a month. So who does that? That's why I said there is no competition. Just do, and nobody can love you like yourself. If you are going after all these things, you will not even be happy within. Why don't you love yourself? You don't belong to any class. You are a class on your own. So you don't have that class, you don't have where you are rushing to, you don't have where you are competing with. You'll be able to take your children to school.
Even as a married woman.
Yes.
Think
like a single mother. Because if anything happens, with the salary you are getting, with the income you are making, even from a business, will you be able to take you are carrying? So, but in the Western world, there is nothing like that. But this one is that I even want people, like let me just use this forum, train your child very well so that I can have peace. It's not all the time that you're saying, okay, all these rich people, they will follow their children, able to where they are working. They will still they will go to school, they will train them to school, they will train them because they cannot think for themselves. Everything that you mentioned, they are not innovative, they are not creative. And parenting now, we're not being intentional when you just, after giving birth, go and play there. And a lot of things has to be taken into consideration. My children, I would not allow them to go and do holiday in a place where I don't really know their moral values. I don't know the way they think. And another thing is, when you are training a child, please let it just be continuous. Stop taking children they will spend 1 year holiday, you are confusing them. Because all this
mixed orientation.
Because they don't know they want to pick. Today, I'm my sister's house, they are there. You have a value system, you have the way you see the world and the way you want to train your children. Tomorrow they are in another person's place, you are disturbing them, and at the end of the day there is no continuity. They will pick this from that. And what we are having now, because you mentioned something that I'm in a university environment, but so when you interact with some students, you want to win. Why? Because the way at times when I'm I just say, is your mother with your dad? Is your daddy treating you? And another thing is, we used to tell this.
Sometimes we're also going to be looking at that on Women's World or something, because that's when you keep discussing things that happen between you and your spouse with your child. You want to let out the steam, but what you're doing invariably is burdening that child with your emotional burdens. You're lifting the burden off you and putting it on the child. All the child wants or needs is now from someone who works in the university environment, and is saying that it is detrimental for the children to know all the goings between you and your spouse. Alright, that be it. But now let's come to the political arena. Yes, women are making in the offices now. We are following the books. But now in the political arena, it seems it's difficult to actually break even. Yes, we're having skeleton leave. It's like we've asked for the rainbow. What we are having is just the impediments to women's rising.
Thank you. We have the politician. If you want to do politics, you start from all this unionism, all this
activism, Malays.
Before I became the chairman, we had elections. We would do little. And you know that women, we are good at. There's this thing that Yoruba call ete. That is politics in itself. You want people to come to your side, but we are not just making use of the strength.
Taking advantage of it.
Because you can imagine, you have your qualifications, you have everything. And because women, we are so detailed and we tend to perfection. A lot of things that before you even bring it out, we used to think about things in several ways. Men, their own is just one way. That is why they used to advise me, listen to your wife. Because if they agree to good morning now, there's the woman will look at the person and read all the body language.
Intuitions.
And say, my husband, this thing that this person is doing, let's look at it this way. Be careful. Even if your husband refuses to listen to you later, let me listen to. So we should use that one in politics. We are not getting there at all. Like in my office, you know that I'm a woman, and by the grace of I'm a deputy director, and I'll be the first. I'm the first person to get there, and I work in the midst of men right from school. So I don't play the card of. I don't put the card of I'm a woman. I'm a female. Anything you want us to do, we will do.
You are not asking for considerations because you are a woman. You want to compete, based on the same.
There was a time I was pregnant with my last baby, and I was working in a restaurant. I will not mention the establishment, and I used to go from Accra every day. 8:05, I'm on my. Even when I was supposed to put to bed, and I didn't put to bed, I was still going. And you know that I own a site work. I will do my work. I have people that can testify, but I will never bring that one into play. Because if you bring that one into play, that is you are creating a loophole for the man
to have some things to say.
To say, I told you this because, and even when during my youth service, I stayed at home for 2 months because the company they posted it to and said they've not a German company that is not employing a female engineer and they're not going to pick me because that would be like short one. So, but when I go there, I said they were even paying me the money they were paying IT. I said okay, but because I studied mechanics in a university environment to take a lady. And when I got that, okay, I will use what I have to get, they will not take you serious. Nobody will take a lady in that way not serious. So in politics, you must do something that, okay, you are doing it, I'm doing it. I'm fit to do this job. If you know that you have everything to do it, go in for it and don't.
This story, even some women are against Natasha's way of addressing the matter. Why some said no, it is not a fight of Natasha, it is a fight against Nigerian women. For instance, the former First Lady of the State, Ibu Fayeme, said no, this was a confrontation for all women and not about Natasha. She made her own view about it. Let me hear your own view because I know definitely you've taken a look at this scenario and felt like
see what is happening. Let us finish this thing, bring everything to the table. If it's that I'm not doing my job, but that harassment, that is what the scenario that she now use to spoil everything. People are saying even the women in the other, they are supporting now. But there are some things that it will be nauseating to you that no, don't play this card. Maybe because of my personality, I hate playing the card of it's okay. If a man is a able-bodied man, the way they are structured,
they are wired.
The way they are wired, when they see a lady, the first thing that will come to their mind is okay.
As long as it's appealing to their sight.
To their sight. So it's normal. It's when they are bringing it to you, you reject it. Even if you are in a place that nobody is telling you are beautiful, as a lady, you feel, what is happening now? Am I that ugly? But take it as a compliment and forge ahead. Don't use it as, if you know what you are doing, even if they say trap for you, you still execute. And they will not even talk about anybody can harass anybody, but it now depends on your person.
Okay, but now maybe it might not be an issue because it's expected. Like as some people said that once you're in the Senate, okay, to be a senator in Nigeria, that means that you should be beyond harassment.
Yes.
I mean, it shouldn't be something to you. You should be able to man up and handle it. But then,
is that there's a way you go about it. If you know your onions, like you are getting this job, it's not because Mr. A is your boyfriend or Mr. B is your boyfriend and you are getting this job. You are 40. If it's 40, if you've entered the place and it's 40, like maybe somebody you are not even qualified for the job and you enter the place, my sister, you'll be using that to get promotion. But if you are qualified for the job,
on air.
If they even tell that this person will not give you this person will not give you this, if you know the God you are serving and you know your mind, just pray to God. That's why I say it's not about Christianity.
Okay. So now let's talk about accelerate action. Yes, we obviously we need to accelerate action in getting women to places of authority, especially in policies, because this is where the rules, the laws are made, the policies are formulated. So we need more women on these seats so that they can make more laws, that are gender sensitive and that will be to the advantage of the women. And of course, the women understand the home more, and so whatever law it is, they would know, oh, this is even to the boy child, this might not be exactly what they need, because we are at a closer range, we observe them more and all of that. So what are those steps to take to accelerate action?